The next Lee and Ian podcast is approaching the station. Please step aside.
And welcome to the Lee and Ian Show. I'm Lee Navlin.
And I'm Ian Grodman.
The Lee and Ian Show is sponsored by Grodman Law and Mediation. Remember, when it comes to divorce, family first. Your children first. Mediation, it's the way to go. Grodman Law and Mediation.
Thank you.
And if you want to check out my latest, it's LeeNavlinBooks.com. When I'm not recording a podcast, I'm writing books.
He's written 2 of them now.
Thank you, Ian, for that. That's LeeNavlinBooks.com.
And they're both amazing.
Ian, I appreciate that. The books, I want them to be large. Like the state of Texas, I want them to be large.
Ooh, what a segue, Lee.
That's right. And Ian, they say big personalities come out of Texas. Sam
What a-
Houston,
what
Bonnie
a
and Clyde,
segue,
Janis Joplin,
Lee.
Matthew McConaughey, Jimmy Fox.
Wow.
Well, I think we can add congressional candidate for the 11th District of New Jersey, Justin Strickland, to that list.
I think we can. Welcome, Justin.
Justin,
Howdy.
thank you to the Lee. Thank you for coming to the Lee and Ian Show. Really appreciate it. Congratulations on this run for Congress. This is a big deal, and you know I know you're busy. You got a lot going on tonight after you see us.
Thank you
tell
for
us
squeezing us in. We
yeah.
know you've got another important event just shortly after this one, so thank you.
Well, it's my pleasure. I'm very excited to be here.
Good. We're excited to have you.
So, you're from Texas. I'm reading your biography a little bit. Very interesting. So, I know you grew up. You didn't have much money growing up. Your family struggled, and I think that has a lot to do with why you're running for Congress right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, talk a little bit about your being raised in Texas, and then you joined the military after college. A fascinating story, and can share it with the audience.
Where
Yes.
in Texas? Just curious.
So I was a little kid in Dallas, and I went to high school outside of Austin.
Got it.
And then I went to Texas A&M University.
Beautiful.
So that's
And that's where you kind of got into government for the first time in college.
that's
right?
correct. I was in student government at Texas A&M, and Texas A&M has actually a really big, robust
I'm
student
sure.
government. Back in the 90s, when A&M was only about 43,000 students, we were still having student body elections that had like a 12,000 voter turnout.
Wow.
In college.
In
That's
college.
amazing.
In
So
college,
what was
yeah.
campaigning like that in college? I mean, that was like running for Congress. It's the
Yeah,
same.
it,
The
it
11th
helped me
district
learn.
is a little bigger than the
A
population
little bigger,
of Texas
but
A&M,
yeah, but what it was actually like running in a municipal election
Yep.
because
Yeah.
you had a town. Texas A&M is basically the whole town of College Station is Texas A&M.
Right.
And so with the voter base, you still had to do door knocking. You had to do flyers. You had to do candidate forums. Everything that you do at a municipal level, we did in college. And I learned how to campaign and talk to voters and get my message out. And I had a good time doing it.
What was your proudest accomplishment when you were in the student government at Texas A&M?
My proudest accomplishment is I was awarded by my peers Senator of the Year.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I
That's
was proud.
exciting. Yeah.
I authored the most legislation in the entire legislature of Texas A&M that year.
Very good.
And some pretty progressive things, actually. I wrote a piece of legislation in college in 1998, the fall of 98, I believe is what it was, that banned styrofoam on campus.
Wow.
And we had such a good relationship with the administration that when we would pass something like that, the administration followed through with it. And so
Fantastic.
my piece of legislation made a difference, for an environmental issue.
Very good.
In Texas, of all places,
Yeah.
which
In Texas, right.
But many of the blue state, New Jersey, there's a misconception about Texas, I guess, and it's just a different part of the country, but.
He was close to Austin.
But you were close to Austin, right? Which
Yeah.
is which is like New Jersey.
Well, yeah, maybe.
right.
The closest,
Not
the
quite,
closest
right.
you're going to get to
Like
New
the closest
Jersey
thing you
in
get,
Texas.
the Hoboken of Texas.
Right,
How about
there we
that?
go,
We'll call
yeah.
it that. So let me ask you something. You're involved in government. You're doing well in college. It was a struggle to get to college, obviously, because of the finances of your family. I know you talked a little bit about that.
Tell
So-
us about that. Yeah.
So I grew up incredibly poor. We didn't have a working car for nearly half of my childhood.
Wow.
We didn't have health insurance. We
Yeah.
lived paycheck to paycheck. And at 18 years old, I was 100% self-supportive. I had to take out, student loans. I had to get a job at A&M, and I had to make it. And so I came out of college with about $32,000 of student loans, which I would imagine is somewhere around 6 figures nowadays
Yeah,
because it's so
absolutely.
expensive. But I do want to say something about my high school years that it had a big impact on my life.
Sure.
And I'm here today
That's great.
because of this one thing that happened in high school. And it has to do with a teacher of mine. Her name was Betty Jackson.
Okay.
She was my English teacher. And when I was a freshman at high school, I was put in all the regular all regular classes, and I was in regular English. And in Texas, back in the 90s, if you were in a regular class schedule and no honors, you couldn't take honors classes your sophomore year, your junior year. So when I was a freshman in high school, my path was set for me by the school I was in. And I was in Miss Jackson's class, and I was doing very well. And she took an extraordinary step, and that was she went to the counselor's office without talking to me and without talking to my parents and said, this kid is extraordinary, and we need to make sure that he is able to succeed. And she got me moved to the honors English class mid-school year.
Wow, that's amazing.
And changing your life. Maybe you don't realize it at the time, but someone this important who says that's someone that, I see going places, I want to be a part of making that happen.
Absolutely.
Now, an important question. Does she know that you're running for Congress?
Yeah, that's...
Well, unfortunately, she's passed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But she had an amazing impact on my life because I was able then to register for honors classes 2 months later for my sophomore year. And I ended up graduating 13th in my high school class, which allowed me to go to Texas A&M and set my whole path because Miss Jackson did something that she didn't have to do.
No, she did not have to do that.
And she did it because she thought it was the right thing to do and to help me. And I know she did that with a lot of other students. That was the kind of person she was. And that's kind of this, part of the spirit of why I'm running. There's multiple reasons for running, but that spirit of being able to help people who may not even realize that they need help to have a better life. And she helped me achieve the American dream.
That's right.
By doing that act.
Give you an opportunity for an education. So thanks to Miss Jackson. You go to Texas A&M.
Thank you, Miss Jackson.
Yes, thank you for that. And to her family. Hopefully her family knows that. I'm sure they love to hear
I'm sure they're listening down in Texas.
Yeah, well, you know what? We're growing. We're growing the podcast, Ian. So, Justin, you get out of college. Was it because of the finances you joined the Army? Was that because of loan? I mean, was it? Tell us. Some people might have said, you know what, I've got a lot of student loans. I had the college experience, but now I'm gonna join the Army.
I'm so glad you asked me about that because I have a rather unique story about joining the Army. Because I went to Texas A&M, a lot of people think that I was in the Corps of Cadets at Texas A&M because we have a big corps, and that I then went into the military from that. That's not what happened. So what happened was I graduated in December of 2001, and I had to go make it still, right? I had to go find a job and start my life.
Yeah.
Well, I had $1,000 to my name after I bought a plane ticket. And I bought a plane ticket to Germany because I decided that I wanted to expand my horizons, learn. I had no life experience. I had never been out of the country in my entire life.
Wow.
I had no real exposure to any other culture, And so I thought, I need to make myself a better human being.
Sure.
And I, quote unquote, moved to Germany, but I didn't have a job. And I didn't have a worker's permit. I had, like I said, $1,000 to my name.
You were 21 years old.
I was 22.
22,
And I'm like, I'm going to make it.
Right.
And
I don't know how, but I'm going to.
Exactly. And I was living in a youth hostel, trying to find a job. And I'm exposed to all these new things. And this is now January, 2002. And that's the very first month there ever was the euro, because that's when the euro was introduced.
Right, that's right.
So my $1,000 could go a lot longer because the euro was only worth, like 79 cents to the dollar.
Good timing.
Exactly.
Yep.
But one of the things that really hit me big time was the little things. It's always the little things that have a big impact on you, right?
Yeah.
And there was like no ice in my drinks.
Right.
And at that time, like there's absolutely like no regular water. It was all carbonated, fizzy water everywhere. And like I wasn't used to that. And being in that different culture, I thought it was a good learning experience, but I really appreciated our culture and being American so much more than I'd ever had been before.
Yeah.
And because I'm in Germany and I was in Munich, I'm not far from Dachau. And I went and visited Dachau, and that is a very, very, serious, heavy experience.
Yeah.
And
I saw Auschwitz on our travels, and it's seeing is not believing.
Yeah, and so it moved me tremendously. And being around other World War II history pieces in Germany, going up to Berlin, I felt the weight of this incredible, gift that I was given.
Yeah.
And that was the folks that served in World War II. They truly saved the world,
That's it.
and they gave me everything that I had, and I had not done anything to honor them or to earn it myself. And I was feeling that a lot. And while I was over in Germany, that weight was more and more and more. And I did a little looking online, and I saw how I could join the Army the same way that the World War II guys did who had college degrees. And I came back to the United States, and I walked into a recruiter's office and said, I want to join the Army and go to officer candidate school. And so that's how I came to join the military, is because of that decision to move to Europe. Now, what I think is amazing about it, from my perspective, is that you can make a case that I'd failed at what my goal was. My goal was to move to Germany, live there for 2 years, and then come back.
Build your private sector career.
Yeah. But what ended up happening is I found my true self from this kind of failure, so to speak.
Yeah, sure.
And I came back and I served, and
it was 9/11. I mean, the country was going to
true.
war. I mean, so there
Yeah.
was, we're all thinking. I mean, I know a lot of people after 9/11 that said they want to do exactly what you did. A lot of them didn't. Some did. Most didn't. But you did. You did. You said, I'm going to go serve this country.
And the
during time
ability
of
to
war.
pivot is a very, very important skill. No matter what you do in life, certainly if you're running for Congress. So, yeah.
thank you. I would agree.
Yeah.
So you serve a couple tours of Iraq, right?
Yes.
You become a captain.
Yes.
I mean, you were a big deal in seeing some terrible things, and it was you fought for your country.
Yeah, I was a platoon leader in Iraq for a year in Baghdad. And I also was on an 11-man team that was very much like a special forces team, even though I'm not special forces.
Okay.
But it was an 11-man team living and working and advising the Iraqi infantry in Mosul. And that was the most impactful year of my entire life because, one, I learned a lot about another culture, but it was this whole idea of having to be in a fight and try to help something for the greater good.
Right.
Yeah.
Because on many levels, there's the basic level that people think about, which is like being in the fight and helping Iraq. But as a military advisor, I was advising them on how to administer and run their enterprise, so to speak.
Yeah.
And the leadership of the Iraqi battalions were pretty corrupt. So yeah, we'd be fighting the insurgency out on mission, but I'd come back on the base and I'd be having to fight these corrupt Iraqi leaders because they were stealing so much of the life support money or the salaries of the soldiers. So because they want to be wealthy.
That's it.
And so what I had to put things in place to make sure that those soldiers got all their money and those soldiers ate every day. And these battalion commanders really, really hated me because I was, impacting their profits, and they would, threaten me. I have a fun anecdotal story. I was in the office of a battalion commander, and he was telling me, Captain Otto, which I wouldn't buy a different name, and I'll tell you that story in a second. He said, Captain Otto, I worry about you. I worry about you. And I go, why do you worry about me? Because I knew he didn't like me.
Right.
Yeah.
I go, why do you worry about me? And he's like, well, I just don't trust my soldiers. You walk around this battalion late at night, all by yourself. I just get worried that 5 or 6 of them might grab you, take you into the city, and no one would ever hear from you ever again. I'm worried about that.
This is a guy said, "Wow, this is a commanding officer."
Yeah, from the Iraqi army, yeah. And
Wow.
and I was shocked he was doing that.
Right.
But he wanted to show he was more powerful to make me back
Absolutely.
down.
Although you're in a hostile land, and I would have been like on the first plane out of there.
Yeah.
If there is a first plane out of
Yeah.
there, that's a. So what do you?
What do I do in that situation?
Yeah, what do you do in that
exactly.
situation?
So
I called my mother crying. That's what I did.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see what you
Well,
do.
it was very important to me when you interact with somebody like that you're not letting the bully,
Right.
get the best of you.
Yeah.
And I think we can equate this to like Trump administration
Yeah,
and MAGA in the same way,
100%.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so you had to think of ways to show strength, but not be like them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Don't be a bully back, but show strength and hey, I'm not backing down.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what I did actually is the very next day at 11:30 at night, I went to his room, knocked on his door. He said, "Come in." I just peeked my head in and I said to him, "Hey, Colonel Muhammad, just want you to know I'm walking around all by myself right now."
Uh-huh.
And then I left.
Yeah, well,
Good,
right. You're kind of
good.
saying like I'm the wrong guy. I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm not the guy to play that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So why did you have a different name?
So when I first, my day one with the Iraqis, we got our interpreters who were Iraqi interpreters who were with the Americans before us.
Mm-hmm.
And when they introduced themselves to me, they said, "Hi, my name is John. Hi, my name is William." And my first thought was, there's no way that's their names.
Uh-huh.
And so I asked them, I said, "Is your name really William? Is your name really John?"
Uh-huh.
And they said, no, it's not. And I go, "Well, what's your real name?" And they said, "Don't worry about it." I said, "No, but I want to know. I want
Yeah.
to work with you
Right,
for a
right.
year.
Yeah,
Tell me your name."
That's
Like,
it.
Yeah, find you on Facebook someday when there's a Facebook, right?
yeah, but they're like, "No, don't worry about it."
Yeah.
And at first, I was a little like, "Man, do they not trust me?"
Yeah.
I mean, I'm here to be in this with them.
Right.
And then that night, it dawned on me that they set an American name
Right.
to make me feel comfortable.
Yep.
Right.
And they were trying to accommodate me.
Yep.
And they thought it's something simple they could do to bring down a barrier
Right.
because
Yeah.
they think as Americans saying names like Ahmed and Mahmoud, they're like,
Right.
it's
It's too difficult.
hard, you know?
Right.
Yeah, go by Bill or Johnny or whatever.
That's
and,
it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the next
William and
day,
John.
I went to them and I said, "Hey guys, I know why you're doing this, and I appreciate it, but I'm in your country, and I'm going to be working with all these
Yeah.
different
Good
Iraqis.
feel. That's
You
the
know,
right
these
way to do
army
it.
people,
Yep.
the people in the community, the people, the police." I said, "I need you to give me an Arabic name that is close as you can to Justin."
Yeah.
And they said, "Well, there's a name. It's called Adil, and it means justice."
Very
Yeah.
nice.
And I said, "That's perfect."
Adil.
And so I was Adil, and
like that.
so I was Captain Adil to everybody from then
Yeah.
on.
Yep.
And so I was Captain Justice.
That's great.
That's an amazing
great.
story.
Very
So,
good.
so it's not to confuse. We are talking to Justin Strickland.
That's right, that's right.
Who's also known as Adil when he's in Iraq, but Justin Strickland is running
Also
for
known as-
Congress.
right.
So,
Yep.
and he is asking for your vote, and he is spending a few minutes with the Lee and Ian podcast.
That's right. That's right.
And that's a fascinating story. So you come home
Mm-hmm.
and you end up in Washington D.C. working for the Department of Defense.
That's right. Yeah.
And you return to Iraq, and you're in Afghanistan, and apparently you're involved in helping them rebuild.
Yeah. So I was on this special, high-level task force
Mm-hmm.
that was actually a combination of the different agencies that are in DC that do, nation building.
Right.
So people don't realize, like when you had like Iraq and Afghanistan, that not only the State Department people there, but Treasury Department people there
Right.
and Commerce people department there, so they can like build and help the
Yeah.
economies. And there was a special group that was created out of DOD that was kind of doing all that in one. And it was primarily made up of private sector people who wanted to do the altruistic mission
Yep.
of trying to make a positive difference. And we did that in the Middle East and Afghanistan. And I went to Afghanistan 16 times,
Wow.
working on primarily the banking and financial networks side of the house, a little bit of the energy side of the house. And I did set up all the logistics for the task force in Kabul. So
Was that a civilian position?
yes,
or-
a civilian.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was a government employee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you major in school?
Political science.
Political
As
science.
my
okay.
undergrad. I have an MBA
Surprise,
too.
surprise.
Okay, gotcha,
Right.
gotcha. Yeah. So
Yeah.
and then you got the MBA, and so through this, so you're in Washington D.C., and then you head up north a little further to Chatham, New Jersey. How did you end up in Chatham, New Jersey?
That's a great question. I actually didn't go from DC to Chatham. I actually went back to Texas
got you.
because I was in DC for 4 years, and then I was back in Texas for 4 years in Dallas.
Okay.
And the 8 years I was away from New York and New Jersey, I was in New York and New Jersey every single month on my own dime for 8 years
Wow.
Okay.
because I just love it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just
okay.
loved it.
Yeah.
And so after doing that for 8 years, I thought, I probably should live here.
Uh-huh.
So then I moved to Chatham, and I've been in Chatham for a little over 8 years now.
Gotcha. 8 years, right? So okay, so it wasn't a relationship or anything that brought you up. It
I
was
just love this
it was just
area.
you just
It
love
was
the
a
Northeast.
relationship with New York, New Jersey.
Yeah. And not many people say they love New Jersey, Ian. So that's
So, as somebody
yeah.
who grew up in the Bronx and lived in New York for a good part of my life, I would say I love New Jersey. I
Yeah,
tell
okay.
people that all the time. My family is shocked to hear that, but it's true.
Well, the feeling is mutual. New Jersey
Well,
loves
thank you,
Ian.
thank
And
you. We appreciate
as someone who born here, lived here,
Thank
and
you.
probably going to end up here forever. The New Jersey is a better place because of you.
Thank you.
And because
Thank
of
you.
Justin.
Thank
so,
you.
Justin,
And because of Lee.
yeah. So you're living in Chatham. You married? You have kids now?
It's just me.
Just okay. And but you want a government kind of came calling again, and
That's right.
you ran
Yeah.
for Chatham Borough Town Council. I believe
That's correct.
Right?
That's correct. So it started though with being involved in the community. I actually give a presentation that talks about how to get involved because I think it's very important to try to get involved in your community.
Yeah.
If you've read the book Bowling Alone or seen the documentary Join
Yeah.
or Die, there's academic evidence to support strong democracies
Yeah.
with civic engagement. And what we've seen actually since the 1950s is civic engagement has plummeted and it's
has.
gotten worse year after year after year. And so I was thinking I'm going to do my part to be involved in my community. And I started by joining the Historic Preservation Commission. That is a commission that's out of the municipal government to preserve the architectural history of Chatham Borough.
Yeah.
And that's where I started. And I didn't at the time think, oh, I'm going to have this pathway where I'm going to be like, this is the next step and this is the next step. I was like, I just want to do this. And
Right.
the more and more I did it, the more and more I was really feeling that pull that I had when I was in the military and when I worked in DOD about contributing to something greater than myself. And I was like, man, I've really missed this. This is great. And I feel really fulfilled and I can see the impact I'm having on my community and other people. And I want to do this more. I want to do this more. So.
You strike me just as a guy who kind of sees the future maybe a little faster than some of the rest of us. And the reason I say that, some of the stories you've shared with us, going to Germany, try and figure out your future. You find your future in Germany, not knowing where it is, so you some raised eyebrows when you decided to run for Congress. You filed the paperwork. This was before Mikey Sherrill had won the election. Hadn't even, as a matter of fact, she hadn't even gotten the nomination, the Democratic nomination yet. So you were, and now it's paying off because you've been in this for a while. But what made you say, I'm going to do this then? And to some of your detractors that might be saying, why did you do it then?
That is a great question.
Yeah.
I'm all about transparency and being very open and honest with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I had known I was going to do it at that point. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to let everybody know that I'm doing it, but I'm not going to campaign. I'm not going to launch because typically when someone runs for Congress, they file and launch all in the same day.
Yeah.
Right.
And I didn't do that. And to me, I'm not about playing the game or doing what everybody else is doing. And it actually is one of the lessons that my parents taught me. And that is nothing great was ever achieved by doing what everybody else is doing.
That's right.
And I've really had that as kind of like a North Star my whole life because, growing up poor, you got to have something, right?
Yeah.
And so I filed. I did nothing to actually, campaign. I didn't do any fundraising. I just was like, put it out there.
Yeah.
And I said that if Mikey, doesn't win, I'm not going to run.
Right.
But I was super confident she was going to win.
Yep.
And I wanted everybody to know what my next steps were going to be because I wasn't going to play any games.
Good.
Looking at some of the policies that you're talking about, student loans, child care, a public health care option, home loan program, capital gain taxes, you're a progressive guy. Now, your family, did you grow up progressive in Texas? I know it was outside Austin, maybe things a little more, but definitely it's a very progressive agenda that you're looking to deliver.
Yeah, I think that the word progressive has become an ultra left-leaning, kind of word. And I'd kind of like to reclaim it a little bit. I mean, I'm a Democrat for sure, but I think that if we look at the history of this country, FDR, all his
Yeah.
policies, they're way more progressive than mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people love FDR, and they think they're all these great policies.
Republicans and Democrats, by the way.
Right.
FDR
It's
is,
true.
is
Exactly.
revered.
And then if you look at another Democrat who's a fellow Texan, LBJ, the Great Society,
go.
and all those policies. I mean, that dude. No one would ever, accuse Lyndon Johnson of being a super ultra liberal.
Yeah,
but what
right.
he was focused on was making sure the people were taken care of, and
Right.
and people had an opportunity to achieve the American dream. And American dream is a very, very trendy word right now. I'm sure you've heard all the
Yes.
people say it.
Yep.
But I'm not using it in a trendy way. I'm using it with, hey, I got a chance to achieve it. I achieved it. So these policies help people to achieve that, because all these financial hardships, the affordability, they're all tied to these life
Right.
like milestones and goals,
Yep.
like the college. We have students who are starting their lives out with enormous debt,
Yep.
which that puts them behind the power curve to be able to like buy homes, start families,
Yep.
pick a job that they may want to have to learn from, so they can like better themselves. I mean, we have to help people on the journey, on their path, so that they can succeed. And I don't think that we have elected leaders, and I'm going to say in both parties, who are making it a focus enough
Mhm.
to actually to propose specific policy to actually help people achieve the American dream, and not just talk about the
Very
American
good.
dream.
That's an important point.
Ian, was it wrong of me to, at the top of the broadcast, to we're talking about great Texans, to mention Matthew McConaughey, not Lyndon Johnson? Was that, maybe
It was
maybe-
just, we know that you're
All right,
much
all right,
more
all right.
culturally focused.
I'm a Gen
than
X guy, right?
governmental
I'm a
focused.
Gen X guy.
Yes,
Matthew
yeah.
McConaughey.
There you go.
Who, by the way, they've talked about him getting into politics someday,
Yeah.
so perhaps he will be the next Lyndon Johnson.
He's
right?
a voice for a lot of people.
Do you have a favorite Matthew McConaughey movie?
Favorite Matthew McConaughey movie? Well, you know what? What's it? A Time to Kill? Was that the first one?
That's not the first one. That's one of them. His first one, I think, is Dazed and Confused,
I
right?
was gonna say Dazed and
right, Dazed and
Confused.
Confused.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
yeah.
but I was thinking where he was the headline. But I guess Dazed and Confused. Yeah, I mean, I'm very familiar with that type of lifestyle from Dazed and Confused. Yeah, put it to you that way. Yeah. So, but that was a movie that he was like an unknown. I think
That's
they
right.
found him like at a local restaurant or something
Yeah.
and cast him. And so anyway, I'm still waiting for that big break.
There we
Ian.
go.
Yeah. So
You and me both.
So
We've done a web series together, but that's a whole
yeah,
other
we saw some
Okay.
acting together.
Yes.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Yeah.
The acting, as my wife says, acting like buffoons. But, we have done some acting together. So, Justin, so here's a very interesting thing that you did. You ran for county commissioner of
That's right.
Morris. You lost. But that seat hasn't been held by a Democrat in like 50 years. So you
That's
really
right.
went into this thing saying this is a long shot, but it didn't stop you.
That's right. And I will also say, too, that I was asked by the Morris County Democratic Committee to run for commissioner.
That's
Okay.
great.
It wasn't something that I'm like, oh, I see that. I want to go run for that. I was a newly elected
Yeah.
councilman, and Morris County Dems asked me to run, and I was very honored.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't do anything halfway. I put my whole heart and soul into it, and we had an amazing campaign, and I'm very proud of it. And the thing I'm most proud about is that the Republicans were really nervous about losing.
Yeah, it was a very close
Well,
election.
They spent over $300,000 to beat us,
Wow.
and they never spent any money on
Yeah.
that election
They didn't have to
because
before that.
they hadn't
See, Morris haven't lost
Right.
in half a century.
Very
Exactly.
courageous. Yeah. And it goes to what you said about in your family, what your parents always taught you, right? Like, don't do something because it's what everybody else is doing.
Correct.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, I will say this, and nothing specific about what you want, but Ian is the head of the Maplewood Democratic Committee. If there was a seat that hadn't been held by a Democrat in 50 years, Ian would recommend me to run for the seat. Just so
That's
right,
it.
Right. Yeah.
We have Lee Navlin here in Maplewood.
Right, that's right. Yes. Yeah. Right. Throw him to the wolves.
That's it.
But so you lose the election. Happens. It was a tough seat to win. But you put the Republicans' backs against the wall, so to speak.
You started a wave,
Yeah,
right?
oh,
You started
Start
a
with us.
wave, but it's going to start to change in Morris
But is that when
County.
you're starting to think, what's next? and you're circling Congress. Is that kind of when you're
Yeah,
like,
so it would have been right around that election time period that I really felt like I could really contribute
Yep.
to the bigger picture because I learned so much from running for
Yep.
county commissioner. There are somewhere around 530,000 residents in Morris County, and the congressional is between 700 and 800,000, right? So I got to run on a bigger scale,
Yep.
and I got to learn about the diversity of Morris County. Like, people don't realize how diverse Morris County really is.
It's much more so than people realize.
Exactly.
Yes. Yep.
And so I got to see the problems of all these different types of people.
Yep.
And I actually was thinking to myself, some of these problems actually I think can be addressed at the federal level and not the state level. And that's
Right.
where a lot of my policies came from. I can tell you the housing one was a big one. When I was on the campaign trail for Morris County Commissioner, there was this woman who was talking to me about property tax, and she was a senior, and she said something to me that I'm never going to forget. And she says, "Property is pride."
Mhm.
And
I like that.
she
Yeah.
was
Me too.
very,
I like that a lot.
like worried about losing her home.
Right.
And so I thought, one, I need to do something to help people to be
Yep.
able to buy homes. And that's where there's a lot of specific home buying policies on our platform. But the other piece too is the Social Security plan that I have,
Mhm.
and that is a lot of people don't realize that when a spouse dies, that you're going to lose one of your Social Securities,
Right.
and you lose right away.
Yep.
You get the higher of the two,
Yep.
Right.
and I can't think of anything worse to put someone through.
Yeah.
They just lost their spouse. It
Of
could
60 years, 70 years, whatever it is.
Exactly,
Yeah. And,
exactly.
it's like, oh, your income now is, yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And like the idea that they could have been sudden,
Right.
it could have been long term. Think of
That's
someone
right.
who had to take care of, say, if their partner had dementia.
Yeah.
Think of the emotional, and now that person's gone, and now all of a
And
sudden,
so is their Social
yeah,
Security check.
$2,000, $2,500. I mean,
Yep.
it's a lot of money.
It is.
And with the property tax in New Jersey the way it is, and just everything, like we need to give some grace to these folks who had contributed to our economy
right.
for decades,
Very good.
have had been members of our society, and let's give them 2 years grace period.
Yep.
We have that ability in Social Security because, and I'm not afraid to say it. I think that both parties play politics with Social Security
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of people also don't realize there's a cap on your income tax
Right.
on it, right? So once you hit a certain threshold, you're not paying tax on it
That's
anymore.
right.
What they also don't realize is that cap gets raised every single year, and it's been raised that way for decades. And it's not just being raised for COLA; it's
Right.
raising to keep it 100% solvent.
Right.
And we have the ability to just raise it just a little,
Just
bit,
a little bit
more,
more.
so we can
Put
give that
more money into
grace.
the system, right?
Yep, to help those seniors to be
Very
able to
good.
start their life, get their finances in order.
Yeah.
And have some grace.
That's great.
When you decided to run, did you think there would be, I mean, was it 12 candidates right now? I think someone just dropped out again.
Yeah. There's 12 Democrats and one
did
Republican.
you think there
right
would be
now.
that crowded the field? Or, I mean, I guess obviously when you decided to run, we weren't even sure Mikey Sherrill was going to lose a seat. So I guess you weren't, you were like, I'm circling
She
it.
didn't lose the seat.
Yeah.
She gained the governorship.
She gained it,
Lee.
right?
You got
That's
to be
right. Yeah, that's
careful.
right. You're right.
Choice
She
of
didn't-
words.
Yeah, that's right. Well, if she were to, well, you're right. You're right. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, he's right.
Let's move on. Sorry.
Ian corrects me when
I'm being a lawyer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, you're very good at that too.
Thank you.
Mediation, by the way.
Thank you, yes.
Grounded law mediation.
There we
But
go.
did you think the field would be so crowded? I guess is my question to you.
I didn't think there would be 12 people,
Right.
but I thought there'd be. I felt there'd be probably at least a half a dozen.
Yeah.
It's been a little more crowded than I expected it to be. But you know what? I think I'll put the trust in the voters, and if the voters, want to give, all those votes,
Yep.
let them do it. I think, it's good for democracy.
Absolutely. It's a great thing.
Now, Ian, did you know that his supporters, what they say, Justin is everywhere, right?
That's right.
That's to kind of become your slogan. Justin is everywhere, and you have been everywhere. I'm seeing you at all sorts of events and podcasts, and you have an event right after this. You gotta hit the road. Justin is everywhere. Where'd that come from? And talk a little bit about
Well, I really think.
why they call you that.
Well, I think that the important thing about being a leader is showing up.
Right.
I mean, if you're not showing up, you can't be there for people, and you can't
Absolutely.
listen to people and hear what they got to
Absolutely.
say.
Yep.
What's on their minds, and whenever I have been a leader, I've always shown up. And as a councilman, there are 7 elected members of Chatham Borough, the mayor and the 6 council members, and I'm the only one that has office hours every 2 weeks with my constituents.
It's very important
to make sure I'm present and I'm there for them. And when I campaigned for Morris County Commissioner, I was at every single festival and every single event. And if it was even just 2 people, and I actually live my life by the saying that always say yes unless you said yes to somebody else already.
Right.
It's because you never know the opportunity. You never know what amazing thing might be able to happen by saying yes.
Open, right.
So I think that comes from why I'm everywhere, because I say yes to everything.
we always encourage our township committee members in Maplewood to have office hours, to be at every event in town.
Yeah.
It's very, very important. It's important to your constituents.
Mm-hmm.
I've asked this question before. You win the election. You're in D.C., your first day on the congressional floor. Who are you walking up to? Senate, Congress, House? Who are you walking up to say, hey, I just want to say hello. I'm your colleague, and my gosh, this is hard to believe.
That's a great question. And if I was to tell you the first name that popped in my brain, it would be AOC.
Okay, yeah. I said that too. Even though I'm not running for office, but I said that too.
I think it's different reasons, though, for you.
It's a combination of reasons, actually. She's a very, very attractive woman.
Yes.
But most importantly, I respect her tremendously. And she is very, very intelligent. And I'm very drawn to anyone that has got a brain. And because
and she's the future of the party, I think. I'm not saying she's going to be a senator or a president, but she's not going anywhere.
Another young, courageous person, like yourself, like stepping up and really speaking out and doing what needs to be done.
Yeah, and I also feel kind of like a kindred spirit with her too, because if you go back and look at her election, she beat the party machine.
She did.
She did,
and
right.
And she was a different type of candidate,
right.
and I think that we need more candidates like AOC. I think we need more candidates like me.
Yep.
We need to come up with new ideas to fight Trump and the MAGA agenda. I like to share some of my thoughts on that, and I think about the Texas redistricting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And on the Texas redistricting, we all knew that there was nothing we could really do to stop it, right?
Mm-hmm.
The tactics that Democratic Party in Texas took was they ran away.
Mm-hmm.
They left the state to delay, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we could debate on why they chose that strategy or not. But the point I make on that is the Republicans constantly say that Democrats are weak and not strong. And I can't think of anything worse to have done is to run away.
That's
because you're just reinforcing the stereotype. So to me, we have to start thinking outside the box on how to show the voters and the people that we're going to stand strong and stand up for them, So what I would have done if I was the Democratic leader in Texas, I would have called up all the Democratic committee, the county leaders, and said, hey, you're a county leader. I need you to get as many Democrats as you possibly can to the Capitol in Austin in 3 days. Put 10,000 Democrats at the Capitol building, line up all those legislators who are going to have to get to vote in front of the Capitol door and stand there with all those Dems behind them and say, we're not going in there to vote.
Right.
What you're doing is wrong.
Yeah.
And if you don't like what we're saying, arrest us.
Yep.
Because if they get arrested, they can't go vote anyway. And if they don't arrest them, it makes Republicans look weak. Think of the media attention. No one had ever done that before like that.
Yeah.
The media attention, and we all know Democrats like and need to raise money, right? So think of the fundraising that you could have got off that.
That's it, from all over the country.
All over the country.
That's a much better plan. They should have had you there.
It shows strength.
Yeah.
I guess it was... It's Trump's Republican Party. The Democrats, I think, Ian, haven't been strong in many parts of this country and have kind of taken a back against the wall
Right.
mentality, and it sounds like you're like, no, enough of that.
We've been
Enough of
playing
that, yeah.
defense for a very long time right now.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
time to change.
So we only have a few minutes left. So I guess Donald Trump, we didn't talk about it. I guess he's a big reason you're running too. You've had enough.
I mean, I've had enough of him for a long time. I do think this though, that it's no secret how awful he is, right? And I don't think any Democrat, to include myself, should get any points for talking about how bad Donald Trump is.
Right. Good.
You know, I shouldn't get any points for
Good.
saying I'm going to fight Donald Trump. I shouldn't get any points for saying I'm going to stop the corruption in Washington, because that is the 101 job you should be doing.
That's right.
And we all should be agreeing that we're doing that. So I think, as a candidate, I should get points for what I'm going to go to Washington, D.C. to work on specifically, you know. And at the end of the day, if voters say, you know what, I don't want that stuff to be worked on, then they don't vote for me. But I would ask the voters to say, hey, vote for me if you want these things to be what you need a champion for these things.
Good for you.
You know?
Yep.
So your campaign basically revolves around one simple principle: ensuring everybody has the economic liberty to fulfill the American dream. What do your parents say? What is your family saying about you running for Congress? Are they say, "Gosh, he moved to Jersey and now this," or are they, or did they know this was coming because they know who you are?
Well, I mean, they're not surprised because they know who I am. I don't know if I could say they saw it coming, but they're very proud. I've a very close relationship with my mom, and so that's the one bummer about running for office is I don't get to talk to her as much.
Right.
I normally talk to her every day, but because of all this, I'm skipping a day or here and there, and so sorry, Mom.
What's your mom's name?
Rhonda.
Well, Lee and Ian say hello here
Hi,
from
Rhonda.
New Jersey. So you got a great
Thank you
kid
for sending
here.
Justin up here.
That's right. Thank you for sending him to New Jersey. So, Ian, we're gonna wrap things up. Anything we should add?
This is good. No, you got all your points across, Justin. We really appreciate it. We know that you squeezed us in and that you're on a tight schedule today. So thank you.
Well, thank you guys. I greatly appreciate you.
Yeah.
And Ian, on the top of his Facebook, it's actually it's justinstrickland.com, I should say, not his Facebook page. Your website, justinstrickland.com. The
Howdy.
Howdy, there we go. That's a
Howdy.
greeting. Howdy, I'm
Yes,
Justin
yes.
Strickland, and I'm running for Congress, and I love that.
Thank you.
Hey man, you know what? They say to run for politics in New Jersey, you got to have some big you know what? With Texas, I think that's a built-in part of who you are. And
I mean, the stories you've told us tonight, you sound like a pretty courageous person, willing
thank
to
you.
take on difficult challenges, and so that says a lot.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
housing solutions, college tuition, public option, protect seniors, predatory banking. You have right at the top of the website. You don't waste any time.
And not a lot of candidates do that these days, so that's a good thing.
No, it's like howdy, housing solutions, college tuition. I mean, so that sometimes you got to read the fine print, and I don't think with you there's fine print. I think it's this bold and let's get to work. So. All right.
Anything you want to add, Justin?
Yeah.
No, I just want to say thank you so much, and follow me on social media. All my handles are We Vote Justin, and would love to have a follow.
So We Vote Justin and justinstrickland.com.
That's right.
Okay.
And you could donate. You want to volunteer, right? I guess you're
Yeah,
looking for all
I
that
guess
good stuff.
I'll say this too. Though one thing I'm very, very proud about of my campaign is. We are the true grassroots campaign, and that's another thing that's trendy is people saying grassroots.
Yes.
We are true grassroots, and I'll explain it to you. We have over 35 people on our campaign team. Not a single person takes a salary.
That's great.
Yeah.
Because they believe in these policies, and they're working hard to get us elected.
Yep.
And I'm very, very thankful for them. And if you want to participate in democracy and help us achieve these goals, these policies, definitely send us a message on justinstrickland.com. Join our team. We need as many people as we possibly can.
Excellent.
And as many volunteers. So
Very good. Thank you.
I will say the energy has been crackling here during this
crackling,
podcast,
crackling.
and I think for anyone who gets involved with your campaign, they'll have a heck of a time.
Yes.
They'll have a good time. So, all right, Justin. Can't thank you enough.
Thank you guys.
Justin.
Best of luck, Ian. When is the? You have the dates down.
February 5th.
My
That's the
birthday.
primary.
My birthday, by
Is
the
that
way.
your birthday?
My birthday is
Wow, that's great. That's
That'd be a
great.
heck of a birthday gift.
It would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So Justin Strickland. Until we meet again.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Ian
All
Brodman,
right.
Lee Navlin.
Thank
Good night,
you, everybody.
everybody.
Good night.
Bye.